This is my Bitwig basics video. 3 things to remember. Number 1, I'm not a teacher. Number 2, I've never actually had any formal training, so I might be getting some of it wrong. Number 3, I didn't have any plan when I started doing this, so if I'm going a bit around and about, forgive me. I'll do another one where I get more in depth with stuff, but for now, if you want to see how Bitwig works, see how I use it, stay tuned. See, I know all the lingo. Okay, this is Bitwig and how I use the software. This is what it looks like when it opens up. I used Logic for like 15 years and then I used Ableton for a couple of years, but I like Bitwig. I'll show you why. I usually start by choosing the BPM, although I don't get fixed on that. Also in Bitwig now you can choose the key. I don't generally do that, but I will just for this. Normally I let the bass sounds choose the scale. Anyway, so we'll get into that in a minute. The arrange page, you can see it's got different areas. This is called the clip view, and that is, if I get rid of that, this is where you would put your intro, build up, drop, post drop, middle 8, different sections, and then you can play that one for 4 bars, then you can play that one for 8 bars, and then you can jump to this one, and then you can jump around the different scenes, and it's a way of arranging a song more by feel than by counting the numbers on the screen. That said, I actually learned to make music using tracker software, which looked a bit like this, but since then I've always been using software that has a line like this that goes, let's get rid of those, a line that goes across the screen, and as it reaches certain parts it makes the certain parts play, which you'll see in a minute. So I'm used to using this arrange part. These 2 things here are called tracks. A fundamental thing about production for me is that this is an instrument track and you have sound that already exists and you have sound that you create in the song. Now some people, they only use samples in their songs, and some people only use new sounds that they've created, but I use a combination, and I'll give you an example of that. So if I wanted to put some kicks in, I'm going to have my 2025 kick selection. I'm going to drag that onto there, make it dark blue, and then it's drag this multi-sample. A multi-sampler is like a sampler that has loads of samples up the keys. Or in Bitwig's got this thing, let me just show you quickly, where bass one shot, if I drag that onto the create a new thing, you see that it looks like it's only got one region, but if you open it up you can see that it's got all of these layers, and what that means is that you can play up the keyboard, but if you don't like that sound you could play a melody and you could record the melody in, but if you weren't sure about the sound you can just change this select button. So it's got loads of different layers of bass, and so it would keep the melody the same but just change the sound. So it's kind of like skipping through presets, but this is for noises that already exist on your hard drive, so it's really handy that Bitwig does that. Anyway, I'm going to delete that because I don't actually want it. What I've got on this one now is kicks, so I'm just going to go create that. I don't always use the top 1 centimetre of the screen, but it's just how it started out. So I'm going to double click on that. It makes this bit turn into the piano roll. It's actually showing me the G sharp, but I don't care. That kick sounds right to me, so that's going to go there. Make those a bit longer actually, and duplicate those. I'm going to select that, and you see when I've selected that, you see the highlighted area. It means that that's what I'm going to duplicate. It doesn't just duplicate those, it duplicates the highlighted area as well when I click D for duplicate. So there's my kicks. I've also got 2025 snares, so I'm going to drag that down to there, make that orange. I only need to do 1 bar for that, and that is there. So that is very basic 2-step pattern. If I wanted to, I'm going to highlight that. The cursor, highlighter, arrow, whatever that word is, that thing is dynamic depending on where it is. So I'm going to have it's the pointer tool. Okay, I knew it was that. Pointer tool supports time selection. I have that ticked, which means that if I go there, I can move this block, but if I go there, it now selects time. instead of selecting the actual block, which is really very useful, very quick for editing. If I wanted to add some audio in here, I might say, let's get Tambo. Let's see if I've got any Tambo loop. See, it automatically plays. I mean, I've got a million, but have I got any Tambo loops? Maybe I should search loop. So let's drag that in to the audio. So it has already put it into the right time. I can't really hear it very well, that tambourine. So what I'm going to do is turn everything down a bit and just have the tambourine up a little bit. Okay, so what I might do, so this is the thing, this tambourine existed before we started our journey today, but these kicks, they're samples that have been brought in and they existed, and then I'm going to do something completely new now that didn't exist. So let's load up Serum. One thing, by the way, on the global I always have Ultra switched on, so it loads up like that. So let's say we wanted to write a killer bass line. So there's a simple patch, sounds a bit organy. I'm going to play. So what I'll do, yeah, what I was saying is that I'll see how this sounds and see what note it sounds good on. So I think that one sounds quite good in D minor, so I'm going to change this to D minor. And then record that. Then I'm going to go in and tidy those up. Wow, we don't know what I just did there. Oh, you know what I just did there was that I highlighted, because what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to go into there and highlight all of the bits of MIDI to then quantize them, right? But because I was actually in this part of the arrange, and I did it shows me all of the layers at once. So you can edit the tambourine in this page, or you can edit the kick. You know, you can edit the kick while you're looking at the bass. So cool. Anyway, back to this. I'm going to... No, I've done it again, haven't I? I'm going to double click in there, and then do A, then do L for legato. I'm going to look at the volumes of those. There we go, and make those. I'm going to shorten that one there. Make it red, of course. And then let's say I wanted to have another bass noise. I'm going to get Omnisphere. And I'm going to select, let's have a look, Club Electronic. I haven't really gone in on this yet. I like that one. I'll remember. Okay, so I could try this bass line with that note. That needs to go. Do actually prefer that. Sorry, that one. Okay. Okay, getting lost now. I start doing this and I'm like, okay, I just want to make a tune. I don't want to talk to you lot anymore. I just want to make a tune. Okay. So what I might do to this is now add a think break. So I'm going to go to my samples and have a think break, and I've got these great ones from comics that are great. Drag it in there. It's going to be straight away the right speed, because this tells you, the sample tells you it's 170. The tempo is it says that the sample is 170. It knows the song is 174, so it's sped it up. So you can change and mess about with the audio there. So then one thing that I wanted to do, that I will always do, is I would put my drums, so let's mute the bass for a sec. I'd probably add some other layers of percussion just to make the break, particularly if I didn't have this think break, to make it a bit more interesting. But as it's got the think break, I'm going to now group the drums, and I'm going to put the drums through a drum bus. I've got a drum bus that is a little bit out of control, but it's my killer drum bus, and it makes it sound like, so let's turn this off. So at the moment that is 0.3 over. If I turn this on, let's check it without and with. So it's like a lot more present. Let's just check the volume of that. So I'm finding it a little bit too much, so I'm going to come back on this one, which is an expander. You know what, as well, I think what I might do is let's check this, I've got a limiter in here, and I might go into it a bit harder. So that's with the drum, with the chain on it, and without. So I've got another one that I like on drums actually, from Arturia, called Mixed Drums, which is pretty cool. I've got a couple of presets I've done on that. So it's kind of similar. That's with it. That's without. But I think I prefer my one. Pretty grimy, isn't it? That. Anyway, so that is the drum bus. So what I did is I grouped the drums and put them through the same process to make them sound a little bit more cohesive. What I put on this, because it's drum and bass, I would have shaper box, and I've got a drum and bass as a preset on there, and you see it's just doing underneath 280 Hertz, and it's on mix 41%. So if I did it all the way, that might be cleaner, but I like it like that. That's just like the first one I put on. Sometimes I tweak it a bit, but it often does the trick. Something that I really like doing is I set up an audio track, and I have there's a plugin that Bitwig has got called Audio Receiver that I really like. And you tell it you're going to receive Omnisphere, and then I'm going to put a EQ on this. So I'm going to get an EQ to get rid of the bass and to get rid of the tops, and then I'm going to put like some sort of chorus on it, make it a bit tighter, and then make the focus like 300 Hertz, 400, something like that. And then I'm going to have like a super short reverb on that. Ocean Wave Studios Deluxe. Yeah, so this is like a room reverb. So what that does is it's like adding effects to the bass without actually affecting the original bass. It's just adding it to it. So that's without. It just makes it sound more 3D, more alive, but the original bass is staying pure. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight those, put those together. So then I can change the volume of the bass. So I'm going to change the original sound, and I'm going to change the effect. That's it. And then the next thing that I would do, yeah, so I usually I let the bass noise choose the scale of the song. Now, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but that's what I always do. And then, so the next thing I would do is I would, so you can see from that I'm kind of working on the drop. And then what I would do is I would then work backwards from there, and I would add music that works with this, but it's not necessarily going to be played at the same time. So at the moment, did I say is that D minor? Yeah. So I would add some music. I like this Arturia Analog Lab. So I could have a D minor, some arpeggio type thing. Just choose one at random. So let's have that, for example. Make it green, of course. And I could play it in, or you could just draw it in. I'm going to have that. And then it's pretty fast, so I'm going to, where is it there? So I could have that. And then what I might do is start introducing. So I'm going to check actually that this does work. I should start at 17, should it? So that sounds alright. Could try. I quite like that one. What I often do is just duplicate that, mute that, and then change this one for a different one to find some different sounds that I like. Okay, I'm going to go in again. I'm going to open that and change the to there. So I've got 2 layers of ARPs now. And so what I could have is maybe this start with one, joined by the other. Also I could start with the drums. Let's have those going up to there. That can be added by this, which actually should be that colour, if we're being correct. We can have the snares coming in there. So it would go. So it might be nice to have it like, that's too loud, you can hit. So what I might do there is I might bounce this because, and then I could do some sort of effects with this. So it goes, something like that. I'm going to turn, then delete this. So it would be. Then that sounds to me like it should go back down. I think there. What I usually do is then I sort of go and do something else, come back like 5 minutes later, play this, and it will be immediately obvious if that is the right note or not. that one the most. So that is it. That's how I make tunes. Now, sorry if that is wildly disappointing and you thought it was going to be some incredible magic that was just going to change your life. But no, it's just me using just the very top left bit of this arranged page. On the master, I would have, you know, I've got a, as you can imagine from looking at that drum bus chain, I've got some out of control mastering chains. But what I quite like is this flatline clipper, because Urban Dub said it's good and I trust him. So I've been using that as a final, but with some other bits and pieces before. One thing that I often do is on this FX is add some sort of room, that one for example. Then I just add everything and then turn them all up. And this is one of those things that you can't really hear it, or well, the way I do it is you can't really hear it unless you mute it. And when you mute it, everything just sounds a little bit drier and a bit more boring. That's it. This is a send. So usually what sends are used for would be, you could have reverb on these, for example. So these two tracks, let's add another one of these FX tracks. And let's add some reverb in here. One of the things that I love about Bitwig is that you can see here, like I'm going to put an EQ before this, so I'm going to click this plus button here. But so these are the EQs that I've got that I like. So you can make, you know, you set up, so it's EQ, compression, saturation, stereo, ducking, limiting. So on here I can have, you know, I can just get the Pro Q4, say I'm going to have that before the reverb. I need to change the name of this to say reverb. But I'm going to have these two tracks send into that reverb. If you can hear it, it's there. So they're going to send to that reverb. And when you have like multiple instruments all sending using the same sends, it does give the track a sense of cohesion that might not be there. One thing that I love about Bitwig is the way that you grab space. You don't just grab the, you can grab the thing, but you can also grab space. And if you then duplicate that, it duplicates the space as well as the bit of audio. If that doesn't make sense, if you were to select like that in Ableton and then duplicate, it would just duplicate these to the next block. But if you go like that, you see it duplicates with the space. It's once you get your head around that, that is an absolute game changer for me. I love it. There's a lot about Bitwig that I really like. I don't get that involved in the stock plugins. Sorry about that, Bitwig. But as an arranger, that ain't right, obviously. But as an arranger, for me, Bitwig is the best. You know, I can set up all my key commands. So my key commands are completely bespoke. That suits me. And then another good thing is, let's say we were going to have this with a reverb, like let's have it like this, and we're going to. So I hit the automation, and because I hit the automation key and because I touched the mix on the reverb, that's the line that automatically shows. So if I wanted to go like that, and I'm going to go like that and hit J to join, so that consolidates that audio. I'm going to bounce that down with the reverb on it. So then you can see this bit of audio. So then this bit of audio is that with the reverb. You can see the tail there. So then I'm going to hit A again to get rid of the automation. But I'm also going to hit W, which means deactivate this track. So that track, it changes. You can see it goes from blue to pale blue. And then I've got N to hide the track. So now that is there like that. Okay, now if I decided actually that reverb I didn't do it right, I just unhide it, switch it back on again, and then I can go in and tweak that. So it's a bit like freeze tracks in Ableton, except it's much cleaner, I find it, because you go like that, and so a lot of my tracks will have like 50 or 60 hidden tracks, but the arrangement looks really clean and simple. And you know, when you get to my age, these things really help. So what I might do is go in and I'll change the gain on that, so it could be like, well, that actually doesn't sound so good, does it? Maybe I'd have it so it's like, yeah, anyway, there you go. There's some so that's changing the volume of the audio within this like edit page. So it's where the plugins would normally be. You also have this ability to edit audio, or if you highlight more than one thing at once, it lets you edit multiple things at once. And if it's, for example, in one window, that's really handy. I think Logic does that. But you can add, you know, you could have the bass as well, and it will show you where the bass is. It can show you the more than one at once. Anyway, this is how I use Bitwig to make tunes. Sorry if it's wildly disappointing. Hopefully it's wildly inspiring. If this idiot can do it, anyone can do it. Know what I mean?